biology. In that, the topic is the organization of living things. Organization of living things. Why do we need to study this topic? Basically, this topic we need to study to know what is a biological entity. Biological entity, it is made up of a cell. So, what are cells? After cells, what comes? And after that, what? Then how a big organism like a multicellular organism. See the diagram of the male and a female. These are two multicellular organisms. They are having different characters. So they perform different functions. Their body perform different functions. But basically, the organization is the same. Like first cell comes, then the tissues comes, then organs, then organ system, and then the whole body, that is the organism. Now in that, why does it matter with the human beings? Why do you need to know the level of organization? It is because you need to know what functions are carried by the different cells and why they are having different structures as compared to unicellular organisms. Unicellular organisms. Uni is nothing but one, that is a single cell organisms. Take an example of the prokaryotes. Prokaryotes, pro means primitive and karyotes means organisms. Prokaryote is nothing but the primitive organisms like the bacteria, algae. These are having primitive cell structure. Like take example of the nowadays we are having a housing system, we are having the room. In that we are having different rooms. There is a living room, there is a bathroom, there is a kitchen, there is a bedroom. Different rooms or different cells will be performing different functions. Nowadays we have a study room also, there is a drawing room also. So these are doing different functions and the rooms are different for different purposes. Similarly in eukaryotes, which are the true cells, now newly developed cells, they are having different organelles and these organelles will be performing different functions. But this is not the case with the primitive organism like the prokaryotes or the bacteria. If you take the bacteria, they are having very few rooms, as you can see. Initially there was like it was long room, in that only there was a kitchen, there was everything, all functions, there only people used to sleep and there was no different rooms as such. But nowadays we have different classification, different division. So this is called as having different functions. So this is a kind of multicellular organism. And in unicellular organisms like prokaryotes, they are having the same within that same cell there will be different organelles and they will be performing their functions within that particular cell only. Now if this unicellular cell it dies, then that particular cell, that particular organism itself will die. That means a single cell will be performing different functions and that single cell is very much important. In case of eukaryotes, there are these eukaryotes like yeast, the human beings, the animals, the plants. These are having the developed cells. So they are having the cells which will be having different organelles and their job will be different and they will do the different functions. Take an example of the extremophile which is shown. This bacteria, it can survive in the extreme condition also because their structural organization is made such that they can live in that condition also. If you see the bacterial structure over here, it is having a flagella which is used for locomotion, for movement. They are having pillars, small pillars you can see on that. These pillars are for attachment to a particular substrate. They can attach to a particular substrate, stick to a particular substrate. Like if you take a bacteria which will be infecting your stomach, like if you take E. coli, this bacteria, if it goes into your stomach, it has to first stick to your stomach. That's why these small organelles like the pilus is present. If you see there is again a membrane which is called as the capsule. This capsule is nothing but it is the protective covering for them, because of which they can survive in the conditions like which is shown in the picture, that is the extreme condition, hot water springs. In this hot water springs also the bacteria survives, and those bacteria are called nothing but the extremophiles. Then the multicellular organisms. Multicellular organisms means what? Multi means what? It is more. That means they are having more number of cells, like plants, animals, there are humans. These all organisms, they are having different cells, and these cells together they will form an organ, and that organ will be performing that particular function. Like take an example of the human body. There is a nervous system which will be having the nerve cells or the nervous tissue. These nervous tissue or the nerve cell, they will be doing their own function only. You take digestive system, that will be performing its own function of digestion only. You take the excretory system, the two organs like the kidneys, the ureters and the urinary bladder, they will be engaged in the urine formation or the excretion of the waste products. You can see the figure here. It shows the different tissues or the different cells in the bone. It is shown in the blood vessels are shown, the liver is given, and the muscles are given, and brain cells are there. Now these cells are performing their different functions. So we can see in multicellular organisms, the body is much more developed. Not like prokaryotes, the whole body it was not so well developed. The small body was there, and within that only they have to do all the functions. But in case of multicellular organism, it is not like that. There are different cells which will be performing their different functions, and the body is much more developed as compared to the prokaryotes. The eukaryotes are much more developed. And multicellular organisms, they are having the size is larger, their life is long, because in unicellular organism a single cell dies, they will be killed, and there will be no survival. But in case of multicellular organisms, if a single cell dies, then there will be another cell which will be growing over it. If not, then another cell will be growing over it. Like that, there is if you see the skin cells, the skin, if we get a scratch also, the bleeding happens, and the blood cells, many blood cells dies, and over that portion, the particular part of the epidermis or the upper layer, the cells will killed. But what happens after some days? You will see another layer of skin comes on it. That means the dead cells are replaced by the new cells. That means in multicellular organisms, the cells will be growing, and it is not that a single cut will make that organism die or it will not survive at all. It will grow, and the cells will also grow along with the growing body. Now specialization is nothing but the specialization. They are having their different functions. They will be performing their particular function only. Like if you see the skin, it is protecting your body. The excretory system, it will be engaged in the excretion of the nitrogenous waste and all. This has started with the unicellular, with a single cell. In the reproductive system, there are two gametes, like there is a female gamete and the male gamete. During fertilization, what happens is the male gamete and the female gamete, they fuses together. Togetherly, they will form a zygote. This zygote is totipotent, that will develop into a blastocyst. The blastocyst is nothing but a cluster of cells which is pluripotent. Now what is totipotent and what is pluripotent? Totipotent is nothing but it will develop into its own kind only, and pluripotent is it will develop into different types of cells. Like if you take a pluripotent cell, stem cell, for example, stem cell from the umbilical cord of a child, the stem cells are stored. Do you know why they are stored? The storage is done because these stem cells, they can develop into different cells. They can form the cells of your heart also, they can form the cells of your brain also, they can form the cells of your immune system also, they can form the cells of your blood vessels also. So togetherly, these all cells, this single cell can form different cells also. That's why it is called as a pluripotent cell. How the level has started? It has started with a single cell. Those cells together, they form a tissue. Like you take a cell of a cardiac, that is a heart cell, cardiac cell. That cell will form heart tissues. Heart tissues or the cardiac tissues they are different because they have to do a particular function, that is the pumping of the heart. So this heart will particularly perform that function with those cells only. And these cells together, these tissues, they will form an organ, that is the heart. Then that organ will together form the circulatory system, that is the organ system. So the level starts with the cell, the tissues, the organs, and then the organ system. Now in human beings, There is not only circulatory system, but there is a digestive system also, there is a respiratory system also, there is a excretory system also, there is a nervous system also. Now what happens? These all systems comes together and they form an organism, that is the individual body. Then we can see the human body. There are different, this is the digestive system. In the digestive system, it starts with the mouth. From the mouth we take the food, it goes to the pharynx, then through the larynx it goes to your esophagus. Now inside the esophagus there is a particular function, that is the contraction and relaxation of the esophagus, which is also called as peristalsis. With that particular movement, the bolus or the food which is there, that comes down into your stomach. In the stomach there are two muscles at the opening. These muscles are called as sphincter muscles. These muscles will help in the movement of the food to the stomach. Now in the stomach, the main digestion starts. The digestion of the food is done by the various juices which are given by the liver. Then there are bile juices which are secreted by the pancreas. These all, liver will give the bile juices and pancreas will give the pancreatic juices. These all juices together, they will help in the digestion. Now from that it will come to the intestine, to the small intestine, and in the small intestine the absorption of the nutrients will be done. The nutrients will be taken and the waste which will be there, it will go to the large intestine, and in the large intestine all the water which will be absorbed and the food will come down through the anus and it will be excreted out through your body. This function, these all functions, as I have explained you, these are performed by the different organs, and these different organs constitute a particular system, and that system is called as the digestive system.
No more spending your energy and money on coaching classes, or missing classes for rain, for rally, and any other nonsense. Subjects covered by multiple teachers with repeat telecasts. Doubts, concepts, applications, no problem. All explained through great and significant animation. So sit back comfortably in your home and watch Study Spectrum TV channel.
If you see a cell, inside the cell we have the nucleus, we have the cell membrane, we have nuclear membrane as well. We have cytoplasm, we have vacuoles, we have ribosomes, we have mitochondria. These all different structures, they are having their different functions. Like if you take a vacuole, there is a food vacuole in case of plant cell. If you take a plant cell, in plant cell the vacuoles are bigger as compared to the animal cell. Now what this vacuole does, they help in storage of the food. In case of humans, the main function is the production of the ATP, which is done by the mitochondria, and the nucleus, which will be having the genetic material, it will help in the transmission of the characters from one generation to another. Also the synthesis of the DNA will be done inside the nucleus. So we have understood that there are different organelles, and these organelles, they are having their different functions. Now the cells are specialized, and these cells, they perform their particular function, that is also called as the job of that cell. If you take take an example of the institute, which will be an educational institute. In that there are teachers, there is an admin staff, there is a typing staff, there is a HR section, there is a principal. So these all levels, they are all having the hierarchy. There is a hierarchy that they accordingly they will be having their particular function. Like teachers will be engaged in teaching, the admin staff will be engaged in the admissions and all. Then there will be accountants also, which will be involved in the calculation of the money or the fees which is taken and all that is there. So these are all the functions which are performed by the different levels of the people which are working at the different level. Similarly, in the cells also, there are cells which will be having a particular level, and accordingly they will perform their functions. Now the structure is there, that depends on what kind of function they are doing. If you see the nervous cell, they are having dendrites. There are certain signaling molecules on them. These signaling molecules help in the passage of the in the passage of the signal. Like if I have a hot object over here, and if I touch it, my hand will, I will remove my hand. Why this happens? This action is nothing but it is a reflex action which is conducted by the nervous cell. Now how come this reflex action is taking place? This reflex action is taking place because there is a coordination between the sensory organs and the nervous system. This nervous system will be having the cells which will be helping in taking that signal, and which will also have the signaling molecules which will help in passing that signal from one cell to the another cell. Now this signal will go to the spinal cord, and then the spinal cord will return back, and then the hand will be removed. This reflex action will help us to protect our body in different conditions. Like if a car is coming, and if I see a car, instantly I will move my body. This is because I can sense, my brain is working so fast because I can sense the car is coming, and I'll move behind. Otherwise it would have happened that I am there only, and the car is coming and it has hit me, and the accident has taken place. This way your brain is helping you in protecting your body in different conditions. The structure of the muscle cell. Now this muscle cell is having a smooth ending, and it will be having a single nucleus. Why it is like this? Now this structure is particularly, the muscles will be performing the functions of contraction and relaxation. The movement of the hand when it is touched to the hot object. This will be done when the muscles will contract and relax. The biceps and triceps are there, which will be helpful in contraction and relaxation. This contraction and relaxation is done particularly properly with the help of the smooth muscle cells only. Now the tissues are the different tissues. Like I have already told you, the heart cells or the cardiac cells, together they form the heart tissue or the cardiac tissue, and this tissue will be helpful in pumping of the heart. That is the contraction and relaxation of the vessels, because of which the blood will flow and it will go to all your body organs wherever it is required. Now there are different types of tissues in the body. That is the nervous tissue, the muscular tissue, the connective tissue, or the protective tissue. Protective tissue is your skin, which is having a different layers. That is epidermis is there, dermis is there. Inside also there are certain glands which are there, which will be helpful in producing the water. When it is extreme hot condition, what happens? Your skin will produce, your sweat will be produced in your body. That will help in evaporation of the sweat, and the cooling of the body will be done. Then there is also secretion of the sebum, that is the oil which is secreted. This oil is secreted when you need to keep your body moist. The skin is soft and smooth because of the sebum, which is the fluid which is secreted by the sebaceous gland in the skin. That's why the skin is also called as the protective organ, which helps to protect your body in the different conditions. Now there are connective tissues also. The connective tissues, if you see, there are tissues which will be connecting your body, like there is a blood, there are bones, there are ligaments. These all are connecting your whole body, and that's why they are called as the connective tissue. The muscular tissue is nothing but the muscles which are there. They will be, the bones are attached to your body, the muscles to muscles attachment. These are all done by the muscular tissue. And the nervous tissue, again, there is a coordination of the responses. You give instant responses. There are reflex actions which are happening. These all responses are done by the nervous tissue of your body. In plants we have different tissues, like there are transport tissues, there are protective tissues, and there are the ground level tissues which will be helpful in the transport of the water. Like if you take the tissues like the xylem and the phloem. The xylem is helpful in movement of the water from the plant inside the plant, and the phloem which is there, it helps in the movement of the food from from ground or wherever it is produced, from leaf to all the other organs wherever it is required. So this way, these are all the tissues which are there for plant. Plant tissues are comparatively different as compared to because they have a different functions. Like in plants, they don't need to move, so there is no muscular tissue. Then there are different organs like if you see the organs like the stomach will be having a different function. Like I have already explained you, the stomach is having muscular tissue. The bolus which will be formed, it will come to the stomach, and the enzymes which will be produced by the inside the stomach also, and there will be juices which will be given by the liver and the pancreatic juices. Togetherly they will help in the breakdown of the food, and that food, that is the chyme which is formed, that food comes ultimately to the intestine, where the absorption of the food takes place. So the organs like the brain, the stomach, the liver, the kidney, these are all the organs which are made by the different tissues. So togetherly all the tissues, they form the organs. Then if you see this diagram, they have shown you the digestive system. In the digestive system there is liver, there is gallbladder, there is a stomach, and all these organs, they together they perform the different functions. Take example of the brain. Brain will be helpful. There are different parts in the brain also which will be conducting their different functions. Organ systems. In organ systems, the different systems together, the liver, the stomach, the small intestine, the large intestine, the mouth. Mouth is also an organ which is helpful in digestion. Mechanical digestion is done by the teeth which are there in the mouth, so they are also the organ of the digestive system. These all organs together, they form the digestive system. And there will be accessory organs also like liver and the pancreas, which will be helping in digestion. So this is the structure of the animals, in which starts with the cells, that is the basic unit of the life, and then these cells together, they will form the tissues, which are the group of cells made up of different cells, and they will form perform a particular function. And these different cells together, they form an organ. That organ will be involved in particular function. Like take example of the kidney. Inside the kidney will be helpful in removal of the nitrogenous waste. This nitrogenous waste will be excreted. A filtration is done in the kidney, because of which the waste goes out of your body, and the food which is required, or the nutrients which are required, like the proteins are there, glucose is there, that all are absorbed in the kidney, and the waste goes out through the ureters into the bladder, and through the bladder it goes outside the body. Now organ system, like I have already explained you, there is digestive system, respiratory system, there is a nervous system, there is a reproductive system. These all systems are together made by what? They are made by different organs. If you take example of the respiratory system, in respiratory system it starts with what? It starts with the nose, then it goes to the trachea, then it goes to the bronchi, the air goes to the bronchi, then the bronchus, it goes to the lungs. Then inside the lungs there will be exchange of the gases, like oxygen will be taken in, and carbon dioxide will be given out. So through the lungs again, while you expire the air, the carbon dioxide will go out of your body. When you inspire air, the oxygen will come inside your body. This way what happens, the different organs, they are helping each other in performing the different functions, and together they form an organ system. Now this all systems together, they form a body, that is the individual body. It can be a plant, it can be an animal, or any multicellular organism you take, it forms a body which is formed by different organ system.